Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Merry Christmas and welcome to DraftKings Week 16 Saturday special, a 3-game slate on the day after Christmas, Boxing Day if you're Canadian and watching this show, the day where you box up all your gifts and you send them back to the store because you just didn't like the ones that you got. We have a pretty fun slate here with some players that are interesting. There are no running backs that you're going to like to play on this slate. I'm just letting you know that right now. Okay? Pretty much every running back is vomit inducing. But you got to play at least 2 of them. So we're going to take a tournament look at how we're going to build lineups on this slate. We're going to kind of go through each quarterback. We'll go through some of the running backs. I'm not going to build an entire lineup for you. We're going to look at some of the wide receivers and bringbacks that we can, as well as the tight ends and some of the injuries that exist, and then go through all of it. Thank you guys for being here. I hope that you're having a very good Christmas week. If you're watching this on Christmas Day, I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas. Got everything that you wanted. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave a reply. Those are all the gifts that I want. They cost you absolutely nothing. Hope that you're having a great holiday with your family, eating some good food, getting some good presents, and hopefully we can have somebody in this community take down one of these big tournaments on Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, the Friday showdown slate, and then this Saturday special. So let me know how you did on the Friday slate, and then hopefully somebody can take down this Saturday slate as well. If you wanted to join up and become a channel member and jump into the Discord, there are free channels in Discord. You don't have to subscribe. It's completely free channels for NBA, NFL, as well as some other subjects where people go and hang out and talk about daily fantasy. But the majority of our community, people that sub on Twitch and people that are channel members here on YouTube, they're in the sub only channels, the VIP only channels. Click that join button. You get a nice little VIP badge right next to your name that will grow with you and graduate with you as you sub to the channel for more months. As you get a 2, 3, 4, 5 month channel membership, that badge will continue to graduate with you to higher levels. You get some great emotes as well as access to those sub only channels on Discord. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this Saturday slate and kind of take a look at what we've got. So like I said, the running backs somewhat vomit inducing. The quarterbacks are not. Kyler Murray going up against San Francisco. Kyler Murray has been very consistent with his pass attempts pretty much every week. They have a game plan of things that they do and the way that they go about doing things. What has changed the last couple of weeks, at least from where it was the previous 3 when he was kind of struggling with that AC shoulder sprain and they weren't running him, 21 rush attempts over the last 2 weeks is kind of where we want to see Kyler. We want 10 plus rushing attempts from our running quarterbacks, Kyler Murray being one of those. His floor very, very buoyed by that rushing yard floor that he gets. 2.9 points last week, 4.7 the week before. They utilized him around the goal line, and he did run one in last week against Philadelphia. Did throw for 3 touchdowns and 406 as that game went completely nuclear, with 60 plus total points scored. Not really expecting that out of this one, but any game, including Kyler and that defense, I guess can do this. So like it's going to be a pace up spot for San Francisco, and Kyler is Kyler. So if you wanted to pair him, he's only at 7,500. We've seen him higher than 8K. So an interesting spot to get in, especially on a 3-game slate, and a 3-game slate where there's no other quarterbacks who can do damage with their legs. So if this is a 2 touchdown pass, 2 touchdown rushing game from Kyler, that puts him into a spot where he might actually be able to run away from the field at quarterback, kind of like we saw with Allen on the Bills when he had that massive day like a week ago. So you can run away. You can definitely have a quarterback with rushing ability run away from the other quarterbacks on a short slate when none of the other guys are really running quarterbacks. So like Detroit, really bad defense all around. Bad rushing defense, bad passing defense. Tom Brady against Atlanta had a good enough game. It was, people thought it was a tough spot. They got kind of trampled early, and then he was in garbage time catch-up mode. Not even garbage time. He was just in catch-up mode the rest of the day. As they took over the lead, they were down 21-3 or something like that. It wasn't quite 28-3, but it was close. And Brady definitely made things happen late in the game, getting over 300 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Problem is who you're going to pair him with because of everything else. Matthew Stafford, limited participant this week. We're going to see what happens. So if he's out, I like that offense less. Granted, probably not going to love the rushing game here, but DeAndre Swift, good at running the football and catching passes out of the backfield, way more so than AP. So Tua, he's had one good game. It was against Kansas City in a game that they were trailing the majority of the way, so he had to throw it a ton more. They just don't want to let him go this year, and rightfully so, right? He's not going to be a 3, 5, 7 step drop guy this season. He does have 3 rushing touchdowns the last 2 games, so at least there's that upside for us, but he's not really a running quarterback, or at least they're not utilizing him in that manner at all. He's just a guy who is mobile and can move, but he's not going to be like a Lamar. He's not going to be a Kyler. He's not going to be a Josh Allen. But they are utilizing him when they get around the goal line now, so at least there's that upside for him. But in a game against Las Vegas, I expect him to lean more on the runners than the quarterback running. Still, we've got spots here with San Francisco. We've got spots here with Derek Carr. We're going to have to monitor this and see where it goes to see who's actually going to be in and whatnot. But like realistically speaking, there's only 6 quarterbacks to play here. So we're going to focus on our quarterbacks and our stacks and then figure out which running backs we actually like. Now, the biggest injury news here is the same injury news as before, that Ronald Jones Jr. will not be playing in week 16, which means that Uncle Lenny is once again on the slate and going to be massive chalk in a spot where DraftKings has really the last few weeks priced up their running backs across the board to a point where none of them really pop in any projection set that you have as being able to get close to or exceed 3x their salary. Where earlier in the season, it was very easy to find guys who were getting that. Now, in a game where they were trailing most of the way, Fournette got 5 targets and 14 carries. If there's a possibility that he could do some damage in this game just based on how bad Detroit is against opposing running backs. One of the teams that we are streaming running backs against all season. They've given up a ton of touchdowns. There's a lot of upside here. And that's where he really made it last week, is that he did not have a good game, but those 2 touchdowns salvaged it. It would have been a 9.5 point day at like 35% tournament percentage if he does not slam into those 2 touchdowns. Fournette is not going to be efficient on the ground. Although Detroit can increase that deficiency as they allow one of the highest yards for running backs before first contact and top 5 in the league at yards after first contact. So they're not good at stopping you from getting into their secondary or off the line of scrimmage without getting touched. And then once they touch you, also don't do a great job of tackling. They allow a ton of scores once you get goal to go situations. However, some of those could go to guys like Gronk or Evans. So Salvon Ahmed was back last week, had himself a really, really good game. Now he squares off against Las Vegas, who has been really bad against opposing running backs. We know that Josh Jacobs is going to get a ton of service here, and no running back on this Saturday slate is really priced up all that high. So it's going to circulate. You're gonna run through the few running backs that you want, and then you're gonna have to cycle them through around your wide receiver, quarterback, or pass catcher quarterback stacks. Taking a look at wide receivers, though, for this slate, there's one that stands out as just being massively underpriced. Marvin Jones Jr. has gotten 12 targets in 3 of the last 4 games, 8 against Green Bay, and he's 4.9K. It hasn't mattered who's at quarterback. It hasn't mattered who's defending him. And I know that Tampa Bay is a very tough defense. Chicago's a very tough defense too. But at 4,900, he is going to be the mega chalk on this slate, right? One, it's a 3-game slate, so your tournament percentage or your ability to stomach percentages on these players, it should be higher than on a main slate where there's 10, 11, 13 games, right? So like you're going to have to want to stomach more percentage than of those other guys. So like the 2 highest played guys, in my opinion, are going to be right there and right there. And there you have a secondary stack that's very easy if that's the route that you want to go in terms of correlating for tournaments. So Jones is going to be really high. The question is there a number that he's going to be at that's too high versus him getting you to about 15 fantasy points, considering that that's basically excluding this game, right? Excluding this last game. He's basically sat there, or at least rotated through that most weeks of the season with a boom potential, getting 20 or more points. 1, 2, 3, 3 times since Galladay's been out. So the volume is just amazing. The target percentage is through the roof, considering that Galladay's gone and he's the only show in town. And the price didn't adjust on a short slate, which is going to lead to him being like 65 to 90% in most lineups. We have the Tampa Bay guys, and there's a lot of them. So Mike Evans sees a lot of the end zone usage, and Detroit's really bad in goal to go situations. The other player on this team that sees a lot of goal to go is Gronkowski. A lot of end zone targets for Gronk versus the other tight ends. Clearly has the trust of Tom Brady forever, right? And he gives you something that a lot of other tight ends don't give you, which is downfield possibility. 48-yard catch, 17-yard catch, 16-yard catch, 44-yard catch. So they do target him down the field and allow Gronk to get vertical down the seams, as well as targeting him when they get close to the end zone. So good target volume for only 3,600. I feel like he should be somewhere around 42 to 45. So we're getting an underpriced player in Gronk. You're going to have more. You're going to have to open up your ability to have more double or triple stacks or 2 or 3 players from one offense that aren't the quarterback than on a normal slate where it's full. And Gronk is just way too cheap in this spot. If you want to play off and go with somebody who's got a little bit of a lower floor, but clearly a high ceiling, Chris Godwin is that guy. And Antonio Brown finally latched onto a long pass last week, catching a 46-yard touchdown from Tom Brady. Looking at the rest of the slate, other players, Galladay's listed as questionable, held out of practice on Wednesday. MJJ is just the guy. He's where we're going to be looking this week. Ruggs said he expects him to Gruden expects him to come back this week, or at least be back in the facility this week. Darren Waller is clearly clearly the best tight end on the slate, but he's priced $2K higher than the second highest tight end. Volume's been ridiculous the last 3 weeks, 17, 10, and 12 targets. Now he catches Miami. It was a little bit tougher defense, but tougher on the outside guys than the inside guys. Darren Waller gets the closer to the line of scrimmage targets. Not a real downfield threat in terms of air yards. He can bust big plays, as we've seen a 35, 29, and 38-yard gain each of the last 3 weeks. But he's not somebody that they really target down the sideline or target down the seam all that often. Like 90% of his targets come within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, which makes those high target games really, really valuable for him on DraftKings, because they're very easily convertible into catches, and he's not going to catch those really scary cornerbacks from Miami on the outside. A couple of value plays here. Well, first of all, Ajax, the other play, who has seen a monster amount of volume with everybody else out. He is going to draw a tough matchup here, as Arizona is tougher against perimeter wide receivers than they are against slot wide receivers. But I don't know if you can stop the type of targets that Ayuk is getting in this offense, considering that they're extremely low ADOT, average depth of target routes. He's not running downfield all that often. They're giving him like 5-6 catches a game on little bubble screens, little jailbreak screens, jet sweeps where they toss him the ball, that little touch pass that counts as a catch for us in PPR. So expecting 10 plus targets again from Ayuk is probably a spot that we're going to expect. And again, looking at the chalky type plays in this sort of a slate is extremely easy. And if you wanted to plug Waller into this lineup, just seeing how much money we have left, it's not going to be hard for you to get there. Hawkinson is kind of boomer bust right now. The volume had increased for a while, but with the changing quarterbacks last week, now he's priced up at a spot. Like, this is a spot where I said that I think Gronk should be priced, because now there's risk with TJ Hawkinson, right? He's got a good floor of targets, and he gets a lot of end zone targets versus the position. The one player that we do have to monitor, and we'll know this on Sunday, we'll get a Shefty news dump on Friday night, right? Kittle wants to play. Coach Shanahan has said he's got a chance to play. I don't know why you do that, but they're going to push him back out there. And if they push him back out there, it's going to be dependent on how many snaps he plays. So paying attention to guys like Shefty as opposed to guys like Rap Sheet, in my opinion, would be important. if we get any news on about how many snaps they're going to roll them out for. We've seen San Francisco treat their tight ends with kid gloves at least a little bit. Kittle means a ton to this team, both in terms of pass blocking, run blocking, his usage in the passing game, and everything else. Clearly, if Kittle's out, Ayuk gets a lot more targets. If Kittle's in, there's no other wide receivers. Ayuk still is going to get 8 to 10 plus targets in this game. It's just all of it's going to cycle through Kittle and him. If Kittle is in at 5K, he becomes kind of a smash play for us, assuming that he's going to play 60 to 70% of snaps. But remembering early in the season how they were really slow about rolling out Jordan Reed, I would not be super shocked if they were very slow about rolling out George Kittle as well. But again, we got to wait for intel from the people who have the inside information, like Adam Schefter, before we make that sort of a decision. Dan Arnold is a tournament only play for me. There is touchdown upside here at a really low price and a really low percentage, especially on a 3-game slate, as everybody's going to go for two things. One, DeAndre Hopkins in their Kyler lineups, and secondarily, Kirk at 3,800. With the upside that he brings as a tournament play, just seems way too cheap. I know that there is a floor here as well, considering his usage over the last 4 weeks, but know that he can get down the field, and if Kyler is able to connect with him, there's a massive boom possibility for him in tournaments as well. But it's not going to be very hard to pick out the volume guys at wide receiver and the volume guys at running back, so that we can then wrap our quarterback stacks and double stacks around them. Monitor the news. I hope that you have and had a very good Christmas, and I wish you the best of luck on this Saturday slate. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.